Welcome to X Connect the show. My name is Karim Kanji. Exciting show today. This is actually show number 10. We paid some people off a young and blower to come into the studio. But exciting show today. Lots of things have been going on in the tech industry all over the world, especially here in Toronto, Canada. And today, for our 10th anniversary show, we thought we'd bring in an innovator, somebody who's been in the news recently, and actually our first female guest over the past 10 shows. And we'll talk about that as well. But please welcome, from Plastic Mobile award-winning owner, I guess, yes, of Plastic Mobile, Melody Adhami. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. And congratulations on your recent Webby Award.
Thank you so much. It was really exciting.
Good. And so I guess we'll talk about that
Sure.
a little later. But do you get like a trophy?
Yes.
Or anything with that? You do?
Yeah, we do.
And what does it look like?
Very bizarre.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm sure you guys can probably overlay a clip on it later, but it's this, like a slinky.
Okay.
A slinky.
It is a slinky.
It's actually a slinky.
Okay.
Yeah, so when my mom saw it, she's like, that's what you won? It was priceless. The look on her face, that they call that a trophy. She thought I was getting some gold Oscar, but then I get a slinky.
You get a slinky.
Yeah, but it's, you get
Is it engraved or anything?
Yeah,
it is.
It's absolutely. So
Okay.
It's a slinky that sits on top of an engraving,
Mhm.
and it says Plastic Mobile, our category, and what we won for.
Nice.
So yeah, really excited.
Good.
Yeah.
So tell us, what does Plastic Mobile do?
We're actually a mobile marketing agency.
Okay.
So what that means is we help. We're the agency that helps brands, companies, businesses move into the mobile space.
Okay.
So what has been happening a lot recently is companies come to us and they're like, we want to get into the mobile space. We know it's time. We've been hesitating for a couple of years, but we don't know what we have to do. Sort of guide us. So we will put together a strategy. We'll meet with their stakeholders. We'll make sure we have the right plan for them, and then we'll help them execute on that strategy as well. So whether it's in the form of mobile applications, mobile websites, or SMS campaigns, or whatever it may be for them, we help them move into that space.
Interesting. Very good. So off the top, I said that you're our first female guest here.
Yes.
And why are you our first female guest? Why hasn't there been more women in the tech space that are actually leading companies?
I think that, I don't think the answer is really easy. It's not as simple as this is why. I think there's probably a lot of different facets to it. So number one, I'd say, technology in general has been a male-dominated industry. So, a lot of tech companies start from the engineers, and a lot of engineering classes and graduates are a lot of males. So that's typically the way it happens. I also think technology and the technology field, the fact that it's dominated by males, is maybe a little bit intimidating for women or females to get into the industry. And then also from the leading and being an owner or a founder of a company, I think that takes a lot of time. And sometimes women decide to invest and devote some of their time into family at later points in their lives, and so maybe they're not able to do that. So I think there's a lot of factors that probably go. I mean, you can't generalize and say this is exactly the reason, or all women want to have families, or this is there are no women in tech, but probably a combination of all of these leads to the fact that there's not a lot of us.
So how did you get into plastic? Are you an engineer?
So
you weren't interested in starting a family?
So I'm not an engineer, and I am interested in starting a family. So everything I just said went down with
Okay.
But I think what's happened is I actually have a partner who's an engineer. So I'm co-founder.
Okay.
Myself, I have a business background. So I did my MBA. So I'm always interested in the business aspect of things. My partner was an engineer. I was in marketing.
Okay.
So working at Unilever, some pharmaceuticals before that. So the marketing aspect was the aspect that really interested me in the business, and my partner he's a software engineer, really tech, loves the technology world, always had, and I always had a very keen interest in technology. So we partnered together at a time where people weren't really listening to the fact that mobile is really the future, and we were kind of really knocking on doors and telling our ex-bosses to listen, this is where it's going, we need you to go this way, and people were just, oh yeah, it's going, but nobody wanted to take action. So we thought the best way to take action is just, step into it ourselves, start a company, and I think it took us maybe 30 days to have our first client.
Congrats.
So, thank you. Yeah, it was. I think that it was a perfect, ripe market for us to get where we were going.
Sure.
Yeah.
So staying on this topic of women in technology, what do you think needs to change, or does anything need to change to enable more women to take a look at the opportunity to want to own and start their own business?
I think it has to start probably at a lower level, so at a high school level,
Okay.
in terms of education. And technology has always felt to people something that's very software driven or hardware driven. So you either create computers or you write software. Nobody, when I was in high school, there was no marketing element to technology. There was
Sure.
no, there's all this exciting stuff that happens outside of just the development and just the hardware. And I think if there's education at that level and people know there are so many things going on and there's so much excitement around the field, I think that's where the change will start to come. And then we'll get equal proportions of men and women in the classes, and then we'll get graduating engineers that are that have a lot of females, and then and it'll just go up the ladder and into founding members and startups being started by females. And I mean, there's a community. I meet a lot of women who start things. It's just it's not a big portion of the industry.
Who would you say are some of the top female entrepreneurs that you've met, whether here in the city in Toronto or across Canada?
I think, so there.
How you doing, Sean?
Thanks. A lot of, I think the female entrepreneurs, I think, we probably know Amber Mack, and she's
Yes.
really great and really big in the space. She's really moving the space forward. Really, outside of that, I couldn't name one off the top of my head, but there are places we can meet, and there are people that lead the space. It's far in between, but they're getting in there. I don't want to discourage women, and I don't want women not to be in the space. So I don't want to say there aren't any.
Yeah.
But the more people become interested, and the more people realize that it's not intimidating, I think the more women will be in the space.
Do you find yourself being a mentor to young women, or are they calling you? Are they tweeting at you and asking you for some advice and stuff?
So I'm starting that a little bit, starting with some associations that we're trying to start so that we can have some of that education, and be partnering with associations that or looking to partnering with associations to build up the education. So there's a new website coming up that's called Career Mash, and so it's guided right for high school level audience, so the students. And what we're doing is basically going through a rundown of what we do, what our company is. It's not really intimidating to be a woman in tech, so exactly what we're talking about. We're just doing that, catered for 10th graders.
Yeah. How do you find, being, not just an entrepreneur, but then someone that other people, young people, are looking up to? Is this something that you planned for, or is it something that you look forward to?
I don't think I planned for it at all. So it's nice to see that people look at it and that I can make an influence on people's lives and get people to go down this path, because I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I love the space. It's exciting. Every day is different. It makes it worth all the hard work worth it. And I would love to see more people in the space. So if they're looking up to that and they're appreciating that and they want to see that, then I'm happy to be, that person. It doesn't matter if it's me or if it's someone else or if it's Amber Mack or it's another, woman figurehead. I want people to be excited about the space.
Nice.
Yeah.
So why mobile? You come from a marketing business background. Your partner did technology. Why did you guys decide, on focusing on the mobile space?
I don't think there was a moment where we sat down and said, aha, it's the mobile space.
Yeah.
It was sort of 6 months before we really got we left our jobs and we decided we're going to go full force, we started sort of dabbling in the space. So I think at that time, For Info was a text-based, I don't know if you guys know about it, they're still around, but they had just come into the market, and Google had just released their, text for answers. So
Yes.
anything you wanted, you would just text and Google would send you something back. So it was so exciting for us. It was like, wow, this is possible. So, it was so exciting and so much you can do with it. And so just, one step after the next, it was, first it was that, and then, the iPhone was released, and that was really exciting, but the App Store hadn't been released yet, and people were doing like black market application development, and we were looking into it, and it was just really exciting, and we're like, oh my God, this is it, this is the future, this is where it's going. When everybody has one of these devices and smartphones and they're carrying them, then that's going to be the main mode of communication. That's how people are going to communicate, not just via text message and voice, but via, over the internet. And we didn't know it would be apps at that time, but,
Sure.
with apps and web, browsers within their phones. So we didn't see it in the way it was going to be, but we saw that it was going to be.
Nice.
In some form.
So before we started this episode, we were talking about how you entered the space and some of the challenges. So let's talk a little bit about that. Quitting your jobs, starting a business, and thankfully having a client in your first month. But what sort of challenges did you have to did you face, and what sort of decisions did you have to make in terms of where does money come in from and these sorts of things?
I think it's probably the challenge that any small business, startup, or anybody that decides to quit their job today and enter the space deals with. I mean, the first issue, and I think that probably any small business owner you talk to will tell you, is cash flow. So I have X staff members, and I have X overhead, and I have this many computers that need to be purchased, and I have all of this, and A, where am I going to get that money from? B, am I going to have a client next month or the month after to pay for all that? So there's a little bit of, it keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, it kept you up all night. And as time goes by, and a couple of things happen. You get used to the feeling, so you go to sleep, and you don't think about it. And number two, you learn how to make sure that doesn't happen. So you know that if you work hard and you put yourself out there and you go for it, you work towards getting business, you put the right infrastructure and structure into place, then you'll be able to overcome those barriers. But that's exactly it. The first, I think, 3 months in, I had to remortgage my house.
How was that feeling like remortgaging your house?
Yeah.
Were you married at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yes.
what did hubby think of this?
So you have to make a decision, and you got to do it. When you decide to go for a business, you put your all into it. I could have said, no, thank you, walked away, I'm not going to do this business, this is it.
Yeah.
Or you could say, I'm going to put my heart into it, I really believe in this, and I'm going to go full force. So we took the full force route. And yeah, there's fear. There's always the fear that, what if this fails. Luckily, they only give you a mortgage to the amount of your equity.
Yeah.
So the worst case scenario was we moved back in with my parents. So, you run through all those scenarios.
Yeah.
You think to yourself that if, worst comes to worst, this is what we do. But if you don't take that risk, then you can never see the rewards or the benefits. So yeah, we remortgaged, but we were able to pay back a couple months later.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just a cash flow situation, and it's not anything to be afraid. It wasn't anything that we had to be afraid of.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, you have that fear because you've never done it before.
Sure.
And it's a big risk, but you work hard.
What did your friends think about it that weren't, pursuing the same sort of stuff that you were doing? What do they think? Why don't you just go get a new job or?
Yeah, so I don't think anybody ever said that. I think that the passion and the desire to succeed was there so full force that nobody ever thought it wouldn't happen. There wasn't a doubt in our mind that we could get past it. It's just that we had to push. So that's what it was. So I don't think any of our friends or family thought that, just go get a job. I think everybody was like, keep going, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, You
can do it.
So you can do it,
We don't want you moving in with us, so you better make it work.
And maybe, they were just being really optimistic, trying to like give us that positive energy. But
Yeah.
the support was there. I was really lucky from a family perspective. You know, I had the support of my parents, and you know, they were always like, you know, there's always this place if you need to come, right?
Nice.
So we had a little bit of that kind of a support. So you just have to have a support system of friends and family, and just believe in yourself.
Where did the nickname Queen of Apps come from?
Thank you, Amber Mac.
She called you that?
Yeah,
There
she
you
did.
go.
It was awesome. It was a Globe and Mail article, and she coined it. And then I walked into the office that morning, and I had a crown, a dollar store crown, on my desk ready for me. So, and then I went into a client meeting that morning, and apparently the client had seen it. So when I walked in, they're like, "Oh, Your Majesty, you decided to show up," and I'm like,
Oh, no.
gosh. So it was fun. We've just been playing with it since then.
Nice. What was the article about? What was she?
It was actually a Wired Women series.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was. I think there was 5 of them. I think another person was Erica M. was there, and I was there. There's 3 others, like influential women who've done things in tech. And then, so the first one, I was the first one. It was mobile. I think just because mobile's so hot, I happened to be first.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that, the challenges of being in the tech space as a female, and what you've had to do to overcome some of those challenges and things like that. So similar to what you've been asking.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you you know, off the top we talked about your Webby Award.
Yes.
So tell us about, you know, how you came about to, you know, how Plastic Mobile came about to win that award.
You know, and it's funny because I was talking to my partner the other day, and I'm like, you know, everything we achieve is because we set a goal and a plan. Like, I didn't understand really the importance of planning or setting strategies. Like, people always said strategies, and strategies aren't like, you know, 200-page documents. It could be on the back of a napkin, really. You just have to have a plan. So you set a plan, and then you execute, and you go for it, full force. And the Webby was exactly that. You know, when we sat in the first client meeting with Pizza, and maybe it was the third, we told them, and it was funny because the award submission was happening in about 5 weeks, and we weren't going to be ready with development, so we had to think about how we were going to do it. Were we going to present comps? Were we going to create a video? What were we going to do to actually be able to submit? But we sat with them and we said, we're going to submit to this award, and we're going to win it. But we need you guys to sign off on some of the things we create. We need you to sign off, and we need you to say, yeah, it's okay, go for it, right? Because you need the client approval. So,
Sure.
And that's exactly what we did. The app wasn't ready. We've made changes to the app since our submission, but we created a video, like a simulation video, that showed the app, and then we submitted it. But I think what it was is from day one, when we started the planning process, we said we're going to win this, and then we put full force and energy into it, in terms of, you know, the way we designed it and the way we wireframed it. We made sure that user experience was key. We made sure that the design and the usability was really catered towards the end user. We didn't take a tech approach, we took a consumer approach to it. And I think that's really ultimately what did it for us, because a lot of the applications, and I'm not saying that this is always how it's going to be, it's just that at the beginning of any market or technology market, there's a lot of tech-oriented solutions. And then once you're past those tech-oriented solutions, then people start looking, whoa, but who's the end user? Maybe we need to give the end user what they need.
Sure.
That's when usability comes in. So a lot of the competitors in our space, or people that we were up against, was very, you know, list-based, very tech. It was
What were
tech
some of the companies
solutions.
you were up against?
I think we were against Target, Consumer Report, Walgreens, and Guilt.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there was us, Little Piece of Pizza nobody had heard of about in the U.S.
Sure.
Because I think it was worldwide, 70 countries, you know, 10,000 applicants across all the categories. So all the other competitors were massive compared to us. So it was really exciting for us out of Canada, a small agency out of Canada, and really exciting for Pizza because compared to those brands, they were as small as we were compared to, you know, some of the American.
Walgreens,
Absolutely. We're looking at Walgreens and we're looking at Target. Those are massive, massive brands, right? So
Why was it important for plastic to go for this award? You know, what was the strategic decision behind, you know, we want to win this award?
So I think, you know, prior to coming on air, we were having discussions about, you know, that every 3 months we set these goals and then we have to execute on these goals. So one of these meetings, these strategy meetings we call them, really they're usually at a bar somewhere and on the back of a napkin, was that, you know, we have to gain credibility in the space, and we have to show credibility through our work. So you can't just go preaching that we're great, we're great, we're great. It's great to preach it, but show me, right?
Yeah.
So, and as part of that, we decided that, you know, the best way to do that is to win an award. And so part of our goals for the beginning of last year was to submit to X number of awards to make sure we win, you know, X percentage. And so we're just, you know, that was the first, and we're hoping that's the first of many. So, and we do that for not just one client, but we do it for every project that we engage in. And we don't win for every project, that's not what I'm trying to say, but we work towards it. And if you set that as a goal, then it'll happen.
Does it help you execute on the project itself in terms of making it even better than?
Absolutely. So if you know that if you're just building something for the purpose of building it, you're probably not going to put your all into it. But if you're building something because you have a goal and your end goal is to win against a lot of other great people, then you put that much more. Then you do the little things that really take it a really long way.
What was it about this Pizza app? By the way, it's around lunchtime, so Pizza wants to
So
send
hungry.
over some pizza. We don't mind. We'll give them
Jim,
a
can
plug.
you send us a pizza?
By the way, we're always looking for sponsors, so if you want to donate with food or cash or whatever, we will take that on as well. But what was it about this app that you feel placed it above the competition?
I think that we provided an end-to-end offering.
Okay.
So from, you know, the moment you want to start customizing your pizza until the very end where you're ready to, you know, put in your payments, save it, and pay, the entire process is within the app. We don't disjoint the experience by sending them to some web browser and some backend that's going to have them enter their information or not. We don't, you know, we don't break up the experience for the user at all. The other thing that we've done, and this is really, really different for the space of the food ordering space in general, is I don't know if you've ever ordered a pizza online or anything online, like they ask you for your, where do you live, give me your postal code,
Sure.
now that you have your postal code, give me which store you want, and like there's about 8 questions before you can even see a menu. And we sort of walked into that and said, I think this is backwards. It's like walking into a shoe store and asking for a credit card before you let me look at any shoes.
Yeah.
Why don't you let me look at the shoes and then maybe I'll buy one and then I'll give you my credit card, right?
Sure.
So asking all that upfront information wasn't something we were going to do. So the application is really rich. You know, you jump onto it, you get to see everything, you see all the menu items, you see all the specials, you're able to browse through it. You can add your toppings. It's really visual. You know, a small child can do it. Like, I think the best compliment we got is the CEO of Pizza is like, my 5-year-old orders a pizza on it. You know, it's wonderful.
Wow.
When a 5-year-old orders a pizza on an app, like, it just, you know, there's no better compliment. You know,
I
you
wonder
can-
what the mother is cooking if
Yeah.
the child wants to order
Oh,
pizza.
Everybody should order pizza once a week, right?
Sure.
Especially if it's pizza.
Sure. How many times have we said their name? Sorry.
Are we billing them?
Why not? Why not? Brought to you by, you know. But actually, before we continue, I must say this. Sometimes I forget to say it off the top. I want to thank Hearth TV for allowing us to use their space here, especially the president over here, Mr. Sean Ward. So thank you for that. Any questions, by the way, from the gallery? No?
Let's talk about NFC.
NFC. National Football Conference?
Sure.
No, Near Field Communications, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on NFC? Are you doing anything, or are your clients asking for it?
I think that it would be, I hate to say pizza again, but
Okay.
it would be a perfect
Yeah.
use case for someone like them. Because You know, when your phone becomes your wallet and you can just walk into a store and swipe it and get your pizza, and you don't have to worry about change and you don't have to worry about cash, and you have that connection that's secure with their, you know, POS system, it's brilliant. Because if I forgot my wallet, or if I didn't even want to bring my wallet, and Pizza is offering this service that I can just swipe and somebody else isn't, that's my go-to. Because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to start happening more and more is that more and more people are going to adopt these kinds of technologies. I guess the limitation right now is that not all smartphones are there yet. I think Android is, and they're really big in the States. In terms of Canada, I think that once the smartphones come into playing field with having NFC integrated, then we'll start seeing retailers and other people getting into the space.
Are the retailers set up for it already?
I don't think they're set up for it, but they will need to. So, and I mean, it could play differently, right? It could be that Visa gets set up for it, and then that's the POS, and people already need their Visa merchant, so here you go, this is perfect. So it's just a matter of when it'll catch and who's going to be the first to get there.
Yeah. Do you think it'll just be a matter of NFC being a payment process, or do you find that there's the ability to, custom, for example, let's talk about Domino's.
Yeah.
We
couldn't say McDonald's.
Sure. Is there a way to, input what exactly that you want, and then being able to go to the store and swipe it? So not only are you just paying for it, but you're actually telling the retailer, this is what I want, and I'm paying for it right away, and then being able to get that.
So similar to the application concept, but fully integrated with the NFC.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't see why it can't go in that direction. But I think for it to go in that direction, then whoever owns that space, whether it's the retailer or whether it's the Visa merchant or whether it's the carrier or whoever people think is going to really win that race, has to be able to give a very seamless experience to the user. That's going to be the biggest challenge, right? Because the offerings are going to be different from retailer to retailer. So a food shop is very different from, a Holt Renfrew is very different from, the next retailer. So I think, Loblaws, right? So I think it just depends on who gets into the space and how unified that playing field can be, right? Because we know with smartphones alone, there's a lot of segmentation. So are we going to get, one technology like a PayPal to be able to own that so that we can have a non-segmented market and then we can get the best user experience? Or is it going to be segmented and are there going to be a few players, or are there going to be hundreds of players?
Interesting.
Yeah.
We've got a few minutes left in the show.
Sure.
One of the things that I know you said that you were interested in maybe discussing was Google Plus. Not really, focused on mobile right now, but Google Plus from a entrepreneur standpoint, from a development standpoint, what do you think of Google Plus?
I think so. Okay, let me start by saying I'm a huge Facebook fan. Okay, so Google Plus I always have been. I thought, not because I love going on Facebook and checking my Facebook every day, which I do, but more from the perspective that there's this 23-year-old entrepreneur who really made this industry and has made it like an empire. So I always thought of Facebook as a great product.
What did you think of the movie?
I actually never saw it.
Never saw it?
No, I never saw it.
Did you read the book?
No, I didn't.
The book was great.
Was it great?
Yes.
So I should read the book before
Read
the
the
movie.
book.
Read the book.
Absolutely.
I'll read the book because
Okay.
I prefer to usually read the book. I haven't seen the movie. That was one of those movies that's on my list, along with The King's Speech. Just if you're wondering.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. See, I have
haven't
good
read the
movies
book.
on my list. So, in general, I think they're great. I think they've owned the space. I thought that if Google was going to come out with something, it really has to be great and it has to catch on really quickly. And I think Google Plus might be able to do that. And the reason I say they might be able to do that is because, and maybe this is because I'm very mobile-minded, but I think it has a lot to do with them owning Android and having 100 million ready users for Google Plus. Outside of the other users that they're going to be getting, they have this huge Android base. And, one of the features that's really, everybody's raving about is the instant upload of photos. So being able to, immediately have all of your phone photos right into instead of one by one having to add them, having it right onto Google+. So that's one feature that a lot of people are ranting and raving about, and that maybe, I don't know if it's enough to dethrone Facebook,
Sure.
which is a question on everybody's mind,
Yeah.
but they've been getting a lot of traction, and I have lots and lots and lots of people in my circle, and I've only had the invite for about a week, so people are really catching on, and it's a good product. It is a good product. It's not new and revolutionary. They have knocked off everybody. They've knocked off Twitter. They've knocked off Skype. They've knocked off Facebook. So it's this huge knock-up mashup, but it might work because it's everything everybody wants to do in one place.
Yeah. Well, I have a bet with somebody in this room
Okay.
that they'll be bigger
They'll
than
be bigger.
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Somebody in this room.
somebody in this room.
I don't know if I'd even get into that bet because it's so hard to tell right now.
Sure.
It is so hard to tell. Actually, it depends on how much. What the wager is.
What are some new and interesting things you guys are working at Plastic? No one's watching the show, so you can tell me all the secrets if you want to.
New and interesting. One thing that actually we've been working on for a couple of years that's really exciting, that's just in the beginning stages of a beta release, is we have a platform called Yumo.
Yumo?
Yeah, it's spelled Joomo,
Of course.
but it's Yumo. It's European.
Okay.
Naturally. Got designers naming stuff. And what it does is it's actually an application development platform. And what it does is it allows you to go in as a user and be able to set up an application.
Like create your own mobile app?
Create your own mobile app, exactly.
Okay.
And right now it's doing iOS, so it's doing iPhone and iPad.
Yeah.
We're building BlackBerry and Android right now.
Oh, wow.
It's in development. It reads, so what it does is it uses RSS feeds and Atom feeds, and it pulls your Twitter, it could pull your Twitter feed, it could do Flickr feed. So it's really based on pulling a lot of information that you currently have and pulling it into an application. The nice part is it's got a great studio that allows you to totally customize your application. So from if you want to have thumbnails on your list view, or if you want it to be on this side or the right side, or stroke in between the lines. So it's total customization.
So I can actually have my own personal app now? The Karim Kanji app.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
And you know what you can actually do is you can pull your videos. So you can have it pull your videos, and then you can actually disseminate the app on the App Store, and you can have all the users that are listening right now, they can have an app, and they can view all your videos in one place.
Are we getting this down, Sean?
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Awesome.
Absolutely. And so we actually did an app for Command N, who's it's Amber Max, and then Vitamin Daily, we're working with them. So there's a bunch of people we're working with them to get their apps through the platform, and it's free. It's free. It's free. And
I hear a but coming.
Yeah, there's always a but. So,
Okay.
it's going to be based on a revenue generation model, but for people who want to be able to generate their own revenue, then we will have an option for them. They'll just be rev share. And even if we do advertise, we would still be sharing that revenue with you or the user, or whoever the user may be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Melody.
Thank you so much
All
for
the
having
best
me.
with Plastic Mobile and everything that you guys are doing. Hope you win more awards.
Thank you.
And I look forward to you hooking us up with Pizza.
Awesome. Absolutely. I'll talk to them.
Thank you so much.
Also, I hope you have more females on the show.
So do I.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you
It's
so
great
much.
chatting.
That has been episode number 10. We'll see you number 11. Bye for now.